Lunchtime TV. This is the second part of the series on Indian Mountain, Alaska. And by popular demand and from one of our watchers or viewers who put in a comment in my suggestions, has suggested that I cover a little bit about hunting. And of course I'll be covering a little bit more than that as well, because I want to make it kind of, cover it a little bit more of a length than just a 10-minute video on hunting. And please subscribe and like our video. And don't forget to go up to the Patreon page and check on what's there. If you remember, there's going to be a lot of stuff up there. It may not be up there now, but it could be up there later. Anyway, that's about it. And on with the show. A few notes on some improvements I've made to my channel. With a little bit of hanky-panky and zoom, I was able to produce a reasonable background image. There is just no way I can have a green screen in my small room. They just wouldn't fit. So back to the Indian Mountain escapades, as I call it. A few more things on the radio station. Just, if you really want to know, I made the radio station out of an old pie pan. And I just simply used tin snips to cut it up and mount the tube sockets. Everything, remember, was tubes. It had a pair of 61, a pair of 6146 as the output. And then we had a pair of 12AX7s for the audio part. And I had a little, I implemented a little bit of a limiter, an audio limiter for it. It worked quite well. I was really surprised. Audio quality was pretty good. That's pretty much it. And anyway, getting back to some more things about the Indian Mountain Air Force Station. Before it got really bitterly cold, I went out with a few other GIs to a place called Flat Top. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any videos of that, or audio, or pictures. I didn't have a camera, and very few people did. I was able to scarf up this image of Indian Mountain, Alaska from a friend of mine. And hunting was quite interesting. We would go out, it was kind of like almost where it was even days, even nights. Most of the time we would hunt caribou, and the caribou migration was coming through at the time. And we would go out, and most of the caribou were grazing up on top of Flat Top. So we had to sneak pretty carefully to get a good shot at it. I wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, but one of the other GIs beat it in on it and took it down. And we carried it back to the Indian Mountain place, and we brought it into the back of the chow hall, where the cooks would chop it up and quarter it and make the meat out of it and slice it up. And then we had caribou burger, and it was really good. Game meat, I can't believe it tastes so good. It's incredibly good. And hunting really didn't take place an awful lot. The weather conditions up there were pretty nasty. Almost every day when it wasn't sunny would be whiteouts, because the clouds would just hang over the radar site because of our elevation. And we'd get awful nasty whiteouts. In fact, they're pretty bad. You walk out the front door, go about 25 feet, and you could get lost and not make your way back in again. It was that bad. During whiteout conditions, you're not allowed to go outside at all unless for emergency purposes. And it was during that time that I was working on the height finder radar. I was getting it all tuned up in one of my weekly maintenance schedules. And we picked up a target on the PPI scope. And I went over to the height finder and tried to get a beat on it. The thing was, it was going faster than anything that I have ever seen. I mean, I know how fast, the trainer jets were flying, and I know how fast, how it would progress along the scope. Each time it swept around, it moved a certain period, little bit of time, and I see these little spots on the scope saying while following the track. And we saw a target coming in from the northeast that was going a lot faster than any of the jets I've ever picked up. We did a calculation on its speed, and we found it to be, well, hypersonic to say the least. Somewhere around 5,000 miles an hour, and it was coming in at an altitude that was unreasonable. I think I got the height finder being way up there, about 75,000 feet, and none of us could fly that high. And I got it was almost at the Carnot limit, or whatever, between Earth and space. We tracked it for about 15 minutes. Unfortunately, we couldn't see anything. It was white out outside, and there was nobody could actually get any eyes on it except on the radar scope. It made a right angle turn and started to cut back up north again over Russia. Bet that must have caused a few alarms. And right about during that time, the claxons went off. We had to report to our duty stations because the Russians were all freaked out, and they were sending airplanes our way, but they didn't really go into our border or anything. But it was a pretty scary incident. And we had to wear our radiation detectors and all that other stuff, and our masks and all the other stuff that we had to wear during any kind of a war situation. But things sort of faded out and everything turned back to normal. Nobody ever figured out where that target came from. Even to this very day, people are still scratching their heads on it as to what really happened out there. I had just ended my shift, and all of a sudden, down in the lower part of the operations area, there was this commotion. And we heard all kinds of snarl and growls and things like that. Turned out a wolverine was found in the cable ducts, which are these cables that are running underneath the floor. And man, that animal is nothing but snarl, cloth, and teeth. One of the officers had a sidearm with him. Had to take it down quite quickly. Thing was just about ready to go after some of us. By the way, it was not very good to eat. Although a few times they cut a few pieces up and tried to eat it, and it was really tough. Not very good. But that was about the only really exciting thing that happened while I was up there. If anybody wants any other comments or has any questions about what's up there, please, by all means, put it in the comment section. And above all, please subscribe and press that bell icon so you get some notification when another episode comes out. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me in yet another episode of The Crunchman on Crunch Time TV.